Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Rise podcast with me, your host, Katie Oman, women's empowerment coach, book coach, author, motivational speaker, and all-round kick-ass. So I created this podcast because I wanted to share my love for inspirational women. I believe in the magic and the power of women and women's stories. And I think when we share them and we listen to them, we all get uplifted, we all get inspired. So we all get a roadmap out of our own pain and darkness. And so I've already, as you guys know, had some great conversations. And today is going to be no different, I'm sure, because I have the amazing Michelle Thornton here with me today. And I'm so happy that she said yes. So Michelle, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so honored that you're here.
Thank you, Katie, for having me on your show. I'm very excited to talk to you and to connect with like-minded people. That's always a wonderful thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't want to do you a disservice by kind of, hashing and hacking all about you. So I'll let you introduce yourself. So why don't you tell myself and the audience everything that you do, what you're all about, all that good stuff.
Okay, so where shall I start? I'll start with a little bit about my background. And so when I was 15 years old, I moved to California with my family. And that really started my spiritual journey and quest to learn more about crystals and meditation and sound healing. And I really find that the Californians in general are very open-minded. And they really embrace that side to them. So it was wonderful to immerse myself in this type of culture and this newness. It was so exciting to learn all I could. So I started my journey actually in the nursing field, and I was a CNA, which is a certified nurse assistant. And I worked a lot with elders and people with disabilities, being their caregiver. And while I was caring for people, I started my love of psychology. I've always had a thirst for knowledge and learning as much as I can. And it was really while I was in Santa Barbara living there that I began my psychology journey. And I went to UCSB and got my degree in sociology. And you know, when you have those aha moments, I had one. I was walking, it was fabulous. I was walking through campus one day and I just thought to myself, psychotherapist. I heard a voice almost say therapy, study therapy, because I thought, what's next when I leave? And I was a mature student. I got my degree and with my bachelor's when I was 38. And then when I was 40, I graduated with my master's. And so I went on to study clinical psychology, which really is my passion and my love. And I love learning about human behavior and why we act and behave the way we do and what's behind it and human potential, positive psychology. So I really have a thirst for sharing this with people. And that's what I do now is I practice psychotherapy in the UK. I moved back here 5 years ago in April, and now I've got a private practice where I share CBT, that's my therapy framework, and solution-focused therapy as well with clients.
Wow, it sounds amazing. What a journey. Like, I mean, it's such a twisty path to get you to this point. But I mean, I love that because I am somebody who's also done a very twisty path. And I think actually you become very appreciative of then the things that you achieve because you're not doing it A to B. It's like you're going around the scenic route, around the back roads, you know?
So true, Katie. My journey was never very direct. I tried this and then I tried this and then I thought, actually, this is what I love. And I arrived there in my late 30s. But after gaining all of that lovely life experience of working with people in the nursing field, I thought, actually, I'm going to bridge these two and now work with people with their minds and help them to feel better in their minds. And that's where I am now.
Absolutely. And I love it because like instantly 3 questions pop into my head, like because It's just the nature, right?
You're very good with questions. I love
Well,
that.
yeah, because I'm so fascinated by people. But so
Right.
first of all, I knew we connect because I've just started my Open University degree in psychology and counselling. So
Congratulations.
thank you. So straight away, obviously, we have a shared interest in the mind and
Yeah.
behaviour, and it
Yeah.
is fascinating. I was going to ask, how do you find marrying the spiritual with the psychological? Is that something that comes in, or how does it sit with you in that field?
Yeah, great question. So I never force it on people. So I work with people in the psychology realm, but then if they're open to meditation and body scans and mindfulness, that's kind of my segue in to the more spiritual realms. And I always have crystals around me in my office, or spray, aromatherapy
Yeah,
spray. So, and I wear crystals a lot. I think clients can see that you're interested in other dimensions and they become curious about it. So oftentimes I'll wear a bracelet, maybe a crystal tiger's eye bracelet, and they'll ask me about it. And then I talk about healing properties. And if they're open, we might try meditations, working with the chakras, and just sharing little bits if they are interested.
yeah,
But my main framework is CBT, which is very structured and focused
yes.
and quick, not quick results, but clients often feel better quite quickly.
Mm.
Um, but I love bringing in those spiritual dimensions because there's so much enrichment to share with people as well.
Absolutely. Do you think learning psychology and sociology helped you on your own spiritual journey?
Yes, very much. Very much. And I think also working in the nursing field, as when people are dying, I would work with a lot of elders as they would
Mm.
cross over. And I trained as a soul midwife in the UK. So tending to people as they're crossing over
Yeah.
and providing support, so that they're not afraid. I
Mm.
used that with my journey in the nursing, and it really opened up a door for me to start having these wonderful encounters and
Mm.
experiences with spirit. And I would often journal, as I encourage my clients to do too in our work together. And I love to reread these encounters you have, because it's really truly a blessing, isn't it, when you open up that part of you, your third eye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just there's still, I think, with some sectors of society that spirituality and psychology are almost seen as like two separate things. Like
Yeah,
one is soul and spirit, and to some it's
yeah,
a bit woo-woo, which I hate that term, and to others it's more scientific, academic. And actually, for me, as obviously yourself, they cross really easily. I don't see them as a separate thing at all.
no, I don't either. I'm very careful though when I'm working with clients, if
Of
they're wanting
course.
psychology, not to bring in the spirituality.
Yeah.
It's who you are. And I
Mm.
think clients can feel that energy in the room with you. And there's an openness sometimes that starts to develop in them. And I love
Yes.
to share it with them, but very slow and steady.
Of course, because I think we're all naturally curious, right? So even people who would say, "Oh, it's not for me," the fact
Yeah,
that they're in that space with you, surrounded by, all of your, all of your offerings and all of your items that are really important to you, I think
mm,
encourages a natural curiosity anyway. You can't help it because your eyes are drawn to them, and then the brain, of course, is such a problem solver. So it's like, well, there's a part of me that wants to understand what that is.
yes. And I love to clear the room with
Yeah.
Reiki. I've practiced in Reiki 1 and 2 levels. And I'd love to go on to do the master level when I'm ready. But I really wanted to embody it first before
Yeah.
I go there. But I often clear the room and the space before clients walk in. And I have little rituals I do to make sure that it's a loving space
Yeah.
and an uplifting space for them. And I think they feel that energy in the room.
It's so important because, of course, it's such a vulnerable space to come into, especially initially. They have
Yeah,
to feel that they can trust you, and to
yeah,
create that essence and the aura of calm
yeah.
allows that it have to happen more easily, I would think.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Katie. Yes, and you being a psychology major too, you know that safety and trust,
Mm.
that's what they're coming for, is that connection and to feel safe with you.
Of course, because they're not going to even let you in at all if they don't feel safe. So it's so
Yeah,
important. I agree with that.
yeah.
The other question that really intrigues me and interests me is moving from America back here.
Mm.
How is that for you professionally and personally? Have you noticed a huge shift for you and the way that you work now and who you are as a person?
Yes, I have. I would say the first shift would be just almost turning down the dial a little bit
Mm,
with, with the offerings of spirituality, um, because the Californians love it,
mm,
and in California everybody has a therapist.
yeah.
Like their therapists are on speed dial, but in the UK it's becoming more accepted, which is
Mm,
very exciting. And actually now it's more of a dinner conversation if you have a therapist, and it's not woo woo, as we say,
yeah.
or a hidden thing that you just don't talk about. So there's more acceptance. And I think as there's more acceptance, I can turn up that dial a little bit
Mm,
more. But yes, that's how I've noticed the shift, is just adjusting to the room and adjusting to the pace and where people are.
yeah.
Mm.
Did you find it a shift on you personally, though, as well? Obviously,
Yeah.
work is one aspect. Did you find it, was it hard to come back, or was it a relief? You know,
Oh,
what was all the things you were feeling?
yes. You know, I moved back, Katie, because I was missing home,
Mm,
and spending 30 years in California, I was getting more and more homesick every
mm,
time I would leave England, and I just knew it was time to come back to the UK. And so, yes, I did feel a personal shift in the sense that actually I felt connected to my roots.
yeah.
And I think it took a lot of courage to set up a private practice. I was kind of hiding in the background for a little while. And then suddenly I thought, actually, my breakthrough is going to be putting myself out there and
Mm.
really allowing to be seen, allowing myself to be visible, which is a scary thing to do. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. And I say this to people all the time, and it's
yeah.
one of my really thing is to kind of redefine fear. So, and I
Mm,
say to people, you know, if a tiger broke into my kitchen right now, I would be justifiably scared, and everybody would understand. But
yeah,
of course, as we both know, the brain doesn't know the difference between a real fear and an imagined fear. Same chemicals, right?
yeah.
So I say, if I went to work, and no shade, but if I went to work in Tesco down the road,
Mhm.
I would be frustrated and bored, but I wouldn't be scared because I don't care. I don't,
Yes,
doesn't mean anything to me. But for me, if I'm opening a new coaching course or an event or a book, I
yes,
am. There's a part of me that's really frightened, but I know now it's because I care.
yes,
Otherwise, so for me, it shows that I'm almost going the right way in that
yes.
instance. So for
I
you, I can imagine the tumble of emotions of being excited and ready for change, but also part of you really apprehensive at the same time.
Yes, apprehensive. And will you get clients? Will
Mm,
they like your style and approach? Will you be a good fit for people? Will they keep coming back? All of those questions when you're self-employed, because you need the clients, you need that revenue, but equally you want to have something you're giving that's
yeah.
valuable and that they find valuable. And I think after 4 years now of being in practice, I found that sweet spot
Mm,
um, of where I feel confident, and I've stepped into my own power as a
mm,
therapist. It's taken me a good 10 years to get here, with my education and trial and error and
yeah.
building my practice and advertising and all of those things that go into it. But I can finally say, I think I'm here, but I never stop learning and growing. And I
No,
never stop being humble and having that humility as well.
I love that. I love that because it's so true. And in somebody who's also self-employed,
Mm,
knowing that we live now in an instant gratification society, I
yeah.
love that you said that it's taken you time, not only
Oh,
to build your business, but also to build your confidence. And I think a lot of people I've seen, they run at being self-employed. And if they're not like immediately successful, they think they can't do it or they failed. And it's
mm,
like, we don't give ourselves time anymore, you know?
we don't. You're right. And I think it was that slow and steady approach
Mm,
and not giving up.
yeah.
And you know the clients are going to be there. There's enough clients to go around for all the therapists in the local area.
Mm,
But what you offer, they're going to want. And
yeah.
that faith and trust in yourself has been a big part of my personal growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Which again is fantastic because, you know, the fear of I can't let this client go because it
Yeah,
won't be replaced, you know, the lack mentality. But we have to say there's more than enough to go around,
yeah,
especially nowadays.
absolutely. Okay. And we won't be a good fit for everybody, you know,
No,
and that's
exactly.
okay too. Some
Hmm.
people won't like my style and approach, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Long as I know I've done my best as a therapist and I've tried to cater to what they need, that's all I can do.
Absolutely. And I love that. It's such
Mm,
an interesting time, isn't it, at the moment? I mean, and I would think, you know, I love that mental health is now spoken about more than ever. And I think it's a long overdue conversation, obviously. I remember when I was younger, it was never, nobody ever talked about things like that. It was never something that was, unless you were like making fun at or, you know, be wary of that person.
yeah.
It's great, but I think now with especially the way our country is at the moment, I would think mental health support is probably needed more than ever because I think a lot of people are suffering right now.
Oh, I totally agree. And I see a lot of clients coming in with anxiety and or depression, insomnia issues,
Mm,
uh, and then a lot of lovely personal development and growth and building up confidence, which is actually my favorite specialty, is self-care, stress prevention,
yeah,
and helping people so they don't burn out. Those are the areas I'm really passionate about.
I love that, and I wholeheartedly agree. By the way, so
Yes.
for those who perhaps would love, I mean, I have my own therapist, so I totally value therapy. I think it's everybody should have access to it, but I
Yeah.
also know that obviously cost is part to play, and of
Mm,
course the NHS can't support people as much as they would like to. So do
mm.
you think we're in a potentially hurtling towards a crisis here?
I think we are, Katie, actually. And I try to be really mindful because I remember back when I was applying for my graduate degree, there was a question they asked. And in order for you to get into the program, and that
Mm,
question stuck with me to this day, is what will you do if you are accepted into this program to study psychotherapy to make it accessible to everybody in the community? What role will you play? And I carry that with me because I do like to offer sliding scale therapy
mhm.
slots. I have about 5. They're all filled right now, but as people evolve and phase
Yeah,
out of therapy, one becomes available because I do think it should be accessible to all. And I might need to make more spots available in the
yeah,
upcoming year, and I'm okay with that.
yeah,
But I do think you're right. We are facing a crisis, and we need more tools, more resources for people so that they
yeah,
don't have these long wait lists and, then they give up that
yeah.
therapy journey or they don't have the ability to have it ever.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That people don't really seek support and help until they're at a point really where it's quite desperate.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of don't. It's a bit like, you know, if you had a pain somewhere, most of us would go to the doctor and go, I've got this weird pain, don't know what it is, but I don't want it to get any worse. Can we check it out? But with your brain, it's almost accepted. Oh, it's all right. I'm tired. I'm not really sleeping. I'm a bit stressed, but it'll be fine. You
Yeah.
know, and we don't kind of pay attention to the warning signs. We
Yeah.
wait until we're at like crisis points, and then we go, now I need help and I need it now. And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like we need to kind of address it's what is it? Prevention rather than cure.
Yes, so true. And how neat would it be if everybody felt held and
Mm,
supported and they had someone in their life that they could call if they were struggling, whether it's a friend, a therapist, a family member, whoever it is for them. But I really think that we're going to be so needed even more in the next upcoming years because of what we face globally.
Absolutely. I mean, I was talking to my mom about it. I mean, obviously we have the economic issues in the world at the moment. But I'm interested in your take on this because I really can feel it and see it. I think a lot of people collectively, globally, actually are going to have post-traumatic stress disorder from COVID.
I agree.
Which I don't think we've even acknowledged that yet.
I think you're absolutely right. And a lot of that grief and loss for people and the PTSD is real.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the insomnia and the anxiety I'm seeing with the clients coming through our doors now is linked to this.
Absolutely. And how can you not? You can watch the television every day and it's telling you how many people are infected and how many people have died. And that's not normal. How can you look at that every day, living in that space, and it not affect you?
Absolutely. And then you think of health professionals who are helping the people in the hospitals or the ambulances and all of the mental health issues that they carry, and they're not often addressed.
No, exactly. And now we've kind of come through that time, thank goodness, for the most part. And then now we've got the economic stuff on top of that. It's like, I worry sometimes about where people are going to go. And I've noticed, I don't know if you have, that just going out and about, around the city or around the supermarket, I'm so much more aware that there are more people that perhaps are suffering than there were before. I'm just aware that everyone kind of feels like they're slightly on the edge.
Yes, definitely. There feels like there's more. I don't want to use the word fear because I don't want to promote that.
Yeah,
there's definitely more of that unknown
energy, shall we say.
Energy in the air. And I think it's our role as therapists and people that love healing work to bring in that light and that love and that peace. So it's really a message I try and carry when I'm outside in the world is how can I serve? How can I be of peace to people? And how can I remain calm and centered when people are escalated, when people are fearful, when people are anxious? And I can see why they are.
It's important to kind of try and be the lighthouse in that situation.
Yeah, it's a lovely way to frame it.
Not always easy, of course. And I think healers or therapists, or coaches, however people watching this resonate, they do that work. I think it's important to realize that we're human too, and it's okay for us to not be okay. It's sometimes it's like we need the healer of the healers.
Yeah. And I'm really aware of when I need a tune-up, and really aware of when I need to keep my vibration higher because I'm struggling. And so I have some little self-care rituals I do throughout the week to make sure that I'm staying in a strong vibration and emitting that vibration of peace and love as much as I can. But we're human. We're not going to be able to emit it all the time, but that consciousness piece is really important.
It's so true. I had a client this year actually, and she said, I really would love to be I think it was a coach, and she went, but I still have issues in my life and I'm not healed yet. And I went, me too.
Yeah, me too. We're human. And I think it is that vulnerability, isn't it? When your clients can see you crying with them. And I had a client this week who's been going through some really challenging things in her home life. And I sat with her and I couldn't help but tear up. And there was part of me that said, okay, Michelle, it's okay to cry, let it out. But then there was that other part, like, pull yourself together. You need to remain strong. You need to be, but then that vulnerability of her seeing me connect with her in that moment and feeling, because that was what she was struggling to do, was feel all of these emotions. We're human. We don't,
of course we are.
Together all the time.
Yeah, it's so funny with crying, isn't it? I mean, I say this all the time. People don't apologize for laughing. Unless it's like inappropriate, like at a funeral or whatever. But you don't apologize for laughter.
No.
But laughter is an emotional outburst, right? It's just it's your. But I love, there was a quote, I can't remember who said it, laughter is the soul dancing inside the body.
Ah, I love
Isn't that
that.
beautiful?
Oh
But
my gosh, I'm
crying,
gonna write that down,
write
Kate.
that, write that.
I love it. Can you say that one more time?
Laughter is actually the outside. Laughter is the soul dancing outside the body.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Beautiful, right? But
Yeah.
crying is the flip side of laughter. It's also an emotional expression. It's an outburst. And
Yeah.
yet, how many people cry and go, "Oh, I'm sorry for crying," and you're like, "Why? Why do we feel so ashamed,
Yeah.
embarrassed for a natural human expression?" It's really. I have to also catch myself, make sure that I don't do it,
Yes.
because I obviously the Britishness. I think I know it's a Britishness thing or it's a human thing, but it's really strange.
It is strange, isn't it? But I love that you just said that quote, and I'm going to carry that with me forward when I need a little pick me up. It's a beautiful quote.
I can't
Hmm.
remember who said it, but yeah, it is
Oh,
wonderful.
it
It is.
is.
I think the whole point is that if laughter is the soul dancing outside the body, then
Hmm.
surely crying is, well, essentially it's your soul wanting love. It wants a hug, it wants contact, right?
Yes. Yes. And those to be seen and heard and cherished, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And then I know from my own experiences that, when I do cry, I'm not crying just about what's happened. I'm also crying for everything that's happened since the last time I cried. Because it
Yeah.
builds, doesn't it? And then that relief, although you feel exhausted, you also feel better because you've let all that stuff go.
Yes, you do. There is that serotonin that's released, and then it's like,
Yeah,
phew, I can
yeah,
breathe again, and that
yeah,
calm that
yeah,
comes in. Mm.
exactly. So we should all go off and have a good cry.
Totally agree. I couldn't agree more with the crying.
Don't cry
Yeah,
when watching the video, though. At least watch the end of the video and then you can go off and have a cry.
exactly. I've always got tissues ready when I'm in a session with clients, and I'm like, cry if you need.
Yeah,
This is your time to cry. We can laugh,
yeah.
we can cry, we can do whatever you need.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So for those that are watching this, do
Mm.
you have, I know it's kind of on the spot, and I'm sorry about this, but do you have just maybe one thing that we could all do today just to kind of take a moment, take a breath, and help ourselves feel better?
Yes. So maybe a tool that you could use. Okay, let me think about this. I'm going to give a little CBT tool, which I think is helpful for people when they're in their heads and not really in their hearts,
Mm.
in their bodies. What I like to do, can I do it with you now?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a stressful morning, so yes, absolutely. I'm
Okay,
here.
okay. So we're going to do a little bit of thought stopping and centering and just grounding.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you can close your eyes with me, Katie, and put your hand on your heart. This is always what I do when I'm sensing a client needs to ground and they're feeling very busy in their heads and maybe a little stressed, maybe a little in overwhelm. We're just going to slow things down. I think that's really key, is to get back into our bodies and back into our minds and quieten down that chimp part of the brain. So let's just begin by taking a centering deep breath together. And I call it the 4x4 breath. So let's breathe in for 4 and hold for 4 and breathe out for 4. Let's do that 3 more times. And I like to count on my fingers so that I know I'm doing the full 4 seconds. So let's breathe in together. Hold for 4 and breathe out for 4. Really breathe out on that exhale because we're calming our nervous system. Let's breathe in for 4, Katie. Hold for 4 and breathe out for 4. And one more time together. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4 and breathe out for 4. And just keep breathing your own natural rhythm, Katie. Something that feels right for you. And we're just going to do a mini body scan. This is my offering for people watching as well in the future, is just to slow things down when we're really caught up in that busy mind, and giving yourself the gift of presence and really tuning into you. And this body scan is just a little check-in, a little mindfulness check-in to see where in our body we might be storing tension. So let's just begin with the crown, the top of our heads, and just simply notice if there's any tightness, or maybe your mind is busy right now, chattering away. That's okay. We don't need to change it. Just simply notice if it's there. And then moving on to our shoulders and our neck, another place where we can store a lot of tension. Without judgment, just notice if there's any tightness or tension there. And you might want to do little circular movements just to ease up any tension in your shoulders. Whatever feels right for you. And just notice if there's a message in these tight muscles. If there's a message that comes up, maybe there's not, and that's okay too. Maybe there's a message of, it's okay. Maybe there's a message of, actually, I feel tight here. I need to do some work here to release. Maybe that's body work. Maybe that's mindfulness. Maybe that's a nice hot Epsom salt bath, which is what I did today. And then continuing on with our body scan, let's go to our bellies, our power centers. And if you like, you can place your hand here, Katie. I'm going to do that too. And I know this is another place where people can store tension and tightness. And let's just do a 4x4 breath together. Really breathe into that space. And on the out breath, just imagine relieving any stress, tension, fear, anything that is stored there. So let's breathe in together for a count of 4. Hold for 4. And breathe out for 4, Katie. And as we continue on with our body scan, we're just going to give a little time to our legs and our feet, because I know oftentimes we just walk around all day and we don't think about our legs and our feet enough. So this mini body scan is just going to ask us to pay attention if there's any tightness or tense muscles in our legs. And we'll do a little progressive muscle relaxation. So if you can just tighten all of your leg muscles for me and your feet, really clench those muscles for a count of 4. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Clench and hold and release. Just let all of those muscle groups release. And just feel that stress or tension almost melt away. And just remember how it felt before the clenching, and then how it feels when you release. And this is a nice exercise you can practice throughout your body, this progressive muscle relaxation. It's a lovely tool to use, especially when we're having trouble sleeping. It's a wonderful tool we can tap into. And now let's just come back to ourselves, and before we open our eyes and come back into this room, space, Katie, let's just see if there's any lingering tension or tightness. And if there is, it's okay. It's just a little gentle reminder to pay attention to where it's stored in our body and Maybe if there's a message it needs to share for another time, we can revisit later. And when you're ready, Katie, let's open our eyes together and come back into the space and back into the room. Here we are.
Oh, Michelle, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. And was so needed for me personally. Thank you, honestly.
I'm so glad. Yeah, you're welcome.
And it's so simple. And that's the thing. We sometimes worry that self-care or taking a moment, it feels like another thing on our to-do list. And it's like, oh, we'll do it at the end of the day. And it's like just a couple of minutes with yourself and your breath and your awareness really can shift things. And like you say, it's all about regulating that nervous system and calming down, because that chattering monkey mind.
Yeah.
Like there's been times where like I almost can't breathe because my mind's like, and you're just like, calm down.
Yes, absolutely. It's getting out of here, isn't it? And back into here.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm hoping that you all watching this but really found that beneficial. And the great thing that now it's on this video, you can always go back to that. It'll be there whenever you need it. You know, if you're feeling a bit stressed and you want a moment, come back to this and do it again, and it will definitely help you. So thank you for that, Michelle.
You're welcome.
So two final things before we poodle off. One, of course, we have to know where we can find you. So, and of course, I'll put all these links in the show notes. So do you have a website? Are you on social media? All that good stuff.
Okay, so I do have a website, and people can find me on www.michellebulah, it's BEULAH, Thornton.com. And that has my psychotherapy and Reiki offerings and spiritual counseling too.
Beautiful. And I'm sure people will be, after the video, rushing over there to find out more. Last but not least, I know that's because we spoke about this, that you have one more offering for us, which is your sound bowl. And so to leave us with just, you know, another way to just cleanse ourselves, clear our energy before we go about our day. So I will let you do your thing.
Okay, thank you. So this is my favorite thing to do, is to share music and healing with people. So I'm going to play two bowls. I've got my lovely crystal singing bowls here. So I'm going to just gently bring one up so you can see.
Very pretty, beautiful.
It's really lovely sound. And this is an A note. And then I have the C note to play with today. And the C note is very good for grounding and working with our root chakras. So I'm going to just play both together, and then we'll just see where it goes and enjoy the sounds.
Yes.
Okay. So as you wish, you can keep your eyes open or close them, whatever feels right for you. Okay. Okay. They're happy they're coming out to play. I know that. This is the C bowl. Back to the A.
Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. I feel I started this interview feeling almost a little bit frazzled, and now I'm just like, I feel really chilled out now. I feel like I should just go and have a lie down.
Whatever you need to do, excellent self-care. I am an advocate for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Michelle, thank you so much. I knew this would be a great conversation. It really, really was. So thank you for being here. And I hope that you guys at home have enjoyed watching this too. Thank
you for having me. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Enjoy your day.
And you, my darling. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like to give me a little like and a subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. But I'll definitely see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.